moving cars fighting for space, and just general mayhem ruling the day due to a lack of a well thought out plan. There were already rudimentary manually operated signals in operation, but with only a stop and go signal, they were not very effective. This left drivers little time to react when the command changed. It was clear when automobiles became more prevalent in the urban environment that a viable solution was needed to lessen the unpredictable nature of traveling in a city. That solution was found in November of 1923 when an inventor named Garrett Morgan came up with the answer. After witnessing an especially bad accident one day, Morgan designed and patented a three-position traffic signal, which used an automated signal with an interim warning position, the predecessor of today's yellow caution light. With this invention, cities around the world began to adopt this new technology, making the streets safer for cars and pedestrians alike. That fundamental change for city driving came about 100 years ago. Ironically, today there is a situation in our modern world that is in need of a similar solution, but it will take more than adding a yellow light to solve this new problem. NASA, the FAA, and more than 100 industry partners have tackled the proliferation of unmanned aircraft and the need to regulate and manage these small drones. Just in the past few years, more than an estimated 700,000 unmanned aircraft systems, or UAS, have been purchased and are flying around our skies. With the push for these unmanned aircraft to be used in our daily lives for tasks such as delivering goods to our doorsteps, monitoring traffic on highways, recreational uses, and for medical needs, to name just a few, imagine what our world would look like in a few years if a dependable system of control was not put into place. Many have questions how such a dramatic change to the airspace will affect our lives and safety. And with that, NASA has set out to create a research platform that will help manage large numbers of drones flying at low altitude along with other airspace users. Known as UAS Traffic Management, or UTM, the goal is to create a system that can integrate drones safely and efficiently into air traffic that are already flying in low altitude airspace. With UTM, package delivery and recreational flights won't interfere with helicopters, airplanes, nearby airports, or even safety drones being flown by first responders. On this episode of NASA X, we will examine this award-winning UTM technology and see how it works and better comprehend this innovative system. We will also take a look at the dedicated NASA team at various field centers and its government and industry partners to understand the work accomplished developing and testing new software in real-world research. And we will see the system in action and find out when these new innovations will come online. Not too many years after the first flight in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, NASA's predecessor agency, NACA, began developing technology and systems that have revolutionized the way we fly. NASA took over this workload from NACA in 1958 and has continued to pave a path forward for the aeronautics community ever since. As the premier science and technology agency in the federal government, it makes sense that NASA was once again tasked with understanding and developing a new system to make sure the drone technology would be world-class and safe from day one.
Well, there's a lot of reasons NASA is doing this work. Right, so we can have a nice working relationship with industry as well as with the government side, the FAA, the DoD, DHS, DOI, that whole alphabet soup of folks that are interested in this space as well. We can bridge that gap between industry, the public, and them, as well as bring our experience in the airspace and in aeronautics in general to solve the problem, right? So building that coalition, coming up with unique solutions, testing them in the field, making sure that we have all the parties involved. That's really the sweet spot where NASA sits for this kind of thing.
NASA teams have been looking at unmanned aircraft technologies for quite a while, trying to better understand how large, medium, and small drones will begin to be integrated into our national airspace. Early conversations with the Department of Defense just needed NASA to help transition unmanned aircraft into the U.S. airspace. But those needs began to transform to a bigger picture almost immediately.
When we got involved in this, it was a pretty simple problem that we were trying to solve. DoD was bringing unmanned aircraft back from theater. They needed to move them from one base to another. And so the question was, how do you get these very high-performance unmanned aircraft up into Class A airspace? So take off from restricted airspace and move through Class E airspace up into Class A. And that, that's real geeky sounding and all, but for the FAA people, this is really important. So that's what we thought the problem was. After we had started working in this, just for a couple of years, along came this package delivery. So a whole new mission and a whole new set of actors came out. So it took on a whole new meaning. NASA then got very interested in how you manage the traffic as well as what the characteristics of the vehicle should be. So when we first started, it was all vehicle-centric. But then as we got real interested in UTM, or UAS traffic management, took on a new meaning of how do you manage all of these vehicles around. And it has just blossomed for that into hundreds or thousands of use cases, and everybody that could possibly think about delivering some service or some product to a household or between businesses now has an interest in the work that we've been doing.
With the knowledge of building a completely new system that would fundamentally change how vehicles move in our airspace, the team needed to carefully understand the major issues. So they took a step-by-step approach to make sure they were moving in the right direction. They first had to lay out the goals, which included, but were not limited to, allowing diverse, small UAS mix and airspace use. For example, package delivery, safely enabling scalability for the future, and establishing a highly efficient, predictable, safe, and affordable airspace operations system, all by developing and validating integration requirements and providing prototype software UTM systems for the FAA to further test.
So NASA developed this concept called Unmanned Aircraft System Traffic Management because we are expecting millions of drones and their operations in a day, which is magnitude order different than what happens with current aviation, where there are 50,000 aircraft, and at a time there are about 6,000 at peak in the sky. So the question is, how do we manage these millions of drones without burdening the current air traffic control system? Now, there are fundamental differences in the way the manned aviation works and the drone operations will work. First of all, there is no pilot. Second, that these drones are small. Third, we can actually take advantage of digitization and connectivity across these drones by exchanging information to each other. So the idea of UTM is taking advantage of modern technology, making sure we don't overload the current air traffic control system. Now, one of the big parts of UTM is this managed by exception paradigm. In today's operations, air traffic controller is the only one that has all the information on the radar display. With UTM, we can connect all the information, and that information can be shared across all the operators in the sky. That allows us to basically say that just tell me what not to do, and I will figure out a path that will avoid other vehicles in the sky.
As PK mentioned, the system is a bit different than the air traffic control system used by the Federal Aviation Administration for today's commercial airplanes. UTM is based on digital sharing of each user's planned flight details. Each user will have the same situational awareness of airspace, unlike what happens in today's air traffic control.
Well, with the projected number of new drones coming into the commercial markets for a very large number of drones and operations, it's obvious that the current air traffic management paradigm, a human air traffic controller communicating with one or a handful of vehicles, will not scale up to the number of operations of commercial drones that people are thinking about. And so a new way of controlling this traffic had to be established or thought up. And so NASA came up with the idea and embedded it through the FAA and industry to have this automated system that really did not rely on human air traffic controller interaction. And the key to this is that industry would be providing these services. And this would foster competition and economic growth and such for the system. And so this whole development of this traffic management system, not manually controlled by the air traffic controllers, but by automated systems provided by third-party industry commercial providers, really is a major change in the way air traffic management will be done in this country, and necessary to satisfy the vast number of new entrants in this growing drone market.
You think about the different ways that this system will impact people's lives. One simple one is ordering things online, right? In the future, you'll be able to order something. It could be delivered to your house by drone in minutes to hours as opposed to days. That's one use case, right? So people can say, oh, wow, that would be neat. Also, you can think about public safety, right? For example, fire departments. One thing they would like to do is to send a drone out before the truck can get there, right? It's possible for the drone to get to a site faster than a truck can and can survey the scene before their folks actually arrive. So again, that's a public safety feature that people can usually feel good that our system, a system like we've designed that may be implemented in the future, could help support. So let's imagine both of those things happening at the same time. Someone trying to deliver a hot dog to your house, and then actually a fire happening and the fire department wanting to get through. The system enables those kind of interactions, and it keeps the airspace safe. It keeps things from falling out of the sky. It keeps all the stuff working properly.
To begin problem solving, the team created 4 individual technical capability levels, or TCLs. TCLs are a risk-based development and test approach. TCL-1 served as the starting point of the platform, with drones flying simultaneously at 6 test sites, while each test site operated on their own schedule. TCL-1 focused on areas of remote population.